You heard the news from the BBC. Now it's your turn. Call us on country code 44 2070, 83 72 72. Welcome to World Have Your Say.
Hello, I'm Chloe Tilley. You've been putting your questions to the Israeli Prime Minister's spokesman on today's show. The latest from Gaza is that Israel says its military operation will continue despite international calls for a truce. It says that as long as Hamas is continuing its rocket attacks, a ceasefire will only give them a chance to rearm. You can text your question now to country code 447786 206080.
Hi, I'm Shaima from the World Have Your Say team. Rawan in Jerusalem says Israel seems to forget that Palestinians are humans, but over 1 million people under siege with no water, no electricity, no food and no medicine. Have some of them turn into fanatics and then solve the problem by aerating them all to death. Is that democracy and civilization? And Tom in England says the problem isn't Israel, it's Hamas. Israel has every right to defend itself. It's the only way we can end the suffering caused by terrorists.
So what will end this current cycle of violence? And is it time for both sides to sit down and talk? The blog address is worldhaveyoursay.com.
If you don't want to make an international call, text your point to country code 447786206080 and put call me in your message.
Still with us for the next 25 minutes is Mark Regev, who's spokesman for the Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. You can post your questions to him now on the blog worldhaveyoursay.com. There you can also post questions for Hamas. Tomorrow, at this time, we will be speaking to a Hamas spokesman. They've agreed to come on the show to answer your questions, just the same as we're getting the Israeli perspective today. So you can post questions now at worldhaveyoursay.com. In a moment, we'll get the view from Saudi Arabia. But first, let's go to Bahrain and Joel, who's been waiting very patiently on the phone. Apologies for keeping you waiting. What's your question?
Well, Mr. Regev, first of all, thank you very much for the clarity with which you are trying to express yourself. But what I was thinking about as I saw you and as I saw the Israeli government's opinion on the targets that they've been choosing to hit, they say that these are very carefully selected targets, only hitting the Hamas strongholds or the places where Hamas is. But we hear of so many civilian casualties with women and children being dead. Do you think it's fair on the part of Israel to keep doing this when so many people are almost like prisoners under siege with nowhere to run to, and you hit them like this?
First of all, thanks, Joel, for your comments. I'd say the following. We're trying to be as surgical as is possible. To be fair, Hamas is shooting its rockets randomly into Israel, trying to kill as many innocent people as they can. That's their strategy. They openly espouse that. They'll admit that if I ask them. What we're trying to do is be as surgical as is humanly possible. And if you speak to the people of Gaza, they will tell you of numerous instances where you see one target has been destroyed and next to it there's a building that hasn't been touched. We are trying very, very seriously to be as surgical as is humanly possible with advanced munitions, with advanced guarding systems and so forth. We've also used a system, and it's been reported all in the media, of leafleting saying, please leave this area, there's a Hamas facility here, this is dangerous. We did that in Rafah where the tunnels are, we asked people to leave. We've been using phone calls. We've been ringing people and saying, please leave the building, it's not safe for you to be there, leave the neighborhood. And I'll say now to everyone living in Gaza, if you are right next to a military target, please go stay with family, move somewhere else. We don't want to see innocent civilians caught up in the crossfire. But I want to add one more point, and Joel, with 30 seconds, I don't want to take your time, but just to say one small thing. I have no doubt that Hamas is deliberately exaggerating the level of civilian casualties. The Hamas regime, they took over some 2 years ago, a bit less. They have systematically destroyed all internal opposition to themselves. They've established a sort of a one-party Taliban-type state. They have destroyed any freedom of the press, independent NGOs. This isn't what Mark Regev says. If you ask any independent human rights group, they will verify what I've just said now.
Joel, do you want to come back? I'm keen to get through as many questions as we can, Mr. Regev. So
just one question.
No, I just wanted to say, I'm saying there's no way to verify a lot of these stories coming out of Gaza because of their control of their destruction of independent civil society. They say we're killing only civilians, but is it really true?
Joel.
Please, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, but I was just saying that how surgical can you get? Because I'm sure in this crossfire. So many of these innocents are dying. And whatever you say as far as the escalation of violence that you say that Hamas has created recently, do you think that justifies this kind of an action?
We didn't want this escalation, but if Hamas chose to fight, ultimately Hamas is responsible for this destruction. They initiated this war, and we will make every effort to safeguard innocent Palestinian life. We will make every effort to work with the international community to make sure that foodstuffs and medicines arrive in Gaza. We don't want to see innocent Palestinians suffer. I see the Palestinians living in Gaza as I see my own countrymen living in the south of my country. They are both victims of this extremist Taliban-type regime. And I think all people of goodwill, all people who share democratic values can oppose everything that Hamas stands for.
Joel, thank you for coming on World Have Your Say. Mr. Regev, I just want to point out you were saying that you've pointed out to many Palestinians to leave their